This is Bench Time with Todd and Brett Wiley from HOScaleCustoms.com. Bench Time is a model railroading podcast that focuses on the modeling side of the hobby, where we focus way too much attention on the small scenery and structure details of our layouts. Each week, we'll cover topics from tools and scratch building to current projects, and we'll also share our mess-ups and triumphs with modeling. Not that we don't pay attention to the trains either, we just get all excited about the realism of our scenery. So sit down, you fine scale freaks. We're about to dive into the details.
Hello, welcome to the first episode of Bench Time with Todd Wiley and Brett Wiley of HO Customs. We are here to talk today about our first episode of podcasting. We are brand new to this. Our podcast is going to be, we're going to try to do it on a weekly basis if we can. It's going to be about fine scale model railroading, structures, scenery, and details. We're probably not going to talk about trains and the model of trains and the how many cars you can pull and if it's the prototype of the correct number on that particular car, or if it had a rail brake or handbrake. I don't even know these things, to be honest with you. My thing would be, this is all about your structure building, your landscaping, your scenery details, the little minor details that you would put on a street corner or in a field, these types of things, how we can achieve these. We're learning as many of you are. Some of you are experts and you've been doing it a long time. We're just now getting back into it. My son and I, who are going to be doing this podcast, I used to do it 30 some years ago. I got away from the hobby of doing it, and now I'm back into it. We tried doing some modeling again when my son Brett was in his teens, and we did a little bit, but we never really went anywhere with it because things in life happen, and we all have things that we got to do. Although this is just a hobby, it got put on the back burners. A couple years ago, Brett came to me and said, "Hey, Dad, let's crank up try and get into that model railroading again." And we have, and we were always, both of us, even when I started him back in the teens, we were pretty much influenced by George Sellios and the Franklin South Manchester model railroad that George Sellios built. That was something that we always looked at pictures of, and I even had a booklet of it. He had put a publication out on it. It was just all photos, and it was very intriguing and inspiring, of course, to try and duplicate what you saw to the best of your ability. Who's going to duplicate George entirely? He's the master, as we all know. I think he's a trendsetter of the hobby. But this is what got us back into it. Now as adults, as my son being an adult now, has two children of his own, we have started to build a model railroad in his basement, and we both work on it together. It's coming along, and we're building it as best we can. It's going to be a city scene along that lines, modeled 1939 to 45, and that is, of course, the World War II Americana era. And that's kind of what we're focusing on. But our podcast is going to be about everything it is to modeling, the tips and tricks and things that we do to build your railroad up, and to build your model railroad up in detail, that type of thing. That's where we're going. The things that we'll talk about tonight are projects. Topic one will be on the Workbench. We'll have a weekly series of the topic called On the Workbench, or which will be projects that we're both currently working on. Him and we both contribute to the model railroad together. So we'll talk to you about the products that we've been working with and trying to build. And then we will talk about, we just both recently visited the Fine Scale Model Railroad Expo in Altoona, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, what we saw, what we liked, and then we're going to talk about another segment of this podcast will be called Toolbox, and we're going to talk about some of your favorite tools that you would use or what we use on our model building. And then we'll finish up with some topics on detail parts, small parts that we like and we'd like to have or we have and we're working with. And then, of course, then we're going to feature a product every week. And this week we're going to talk about AK Interactive Rust Set and AK Interactive weathering products. They're awesome. I'm going to turn this over to Brett right now for a couple seconds so he can introduce himself to you, and look forward to many podcasts in the future. Here we go.
All right. Well, thanks for the long and lengthy intro there. My name is Brett Wiley with HO Scale Customs, and like I said, like my dad had introduced me as a couple years ago, I decided to start an HO scale layout in my basement. And with the limited knowledge I had from when I was a teenager, we kind of jumped, headfirst into putting a layout into my basement. And now we have, it's not too big, but we have a 4x 16 layout in the basement. And it's a good hobby to have. I have two daughters, age right now they're 3 and 6 months. So it's a good stay-at-home hobby. And, it just allows me to have a hobby in my basement, so I don't have to leave the house. We had some other hobbies in the past where I was away a lot, and I decided it was time to hang them up and focus on something I could do that would keep me home. So we enjoy it together, and about once a week or once or twice a week, my dad comes down and we work in the basement. And I look forward to sharing all of our mistakes and new discoveries and everything we learn in the hobby with you guys as far as new products and things we learned that we shouldn't have done or turned out really awesome. So you never know. I think everyone learns from their own mistakes. And basically, it'll be cool to share our mistakes and learning experiences with you guys as we go through the hobby, because I don't think you can ever learn everything about it. You always meet new people and you always hear new things or see new blog posts about current, new things and current techniques that are new to the industry that people discover and we discover. So we'll try to share them as we go, and looking forward to having a good time on a podcast with you guys. Hope everyone enjoys it.
That's great. So I'm just going to keep rolling here with this. So we're going to roll right into On the Workbench. On the Workbench, we're going to talk about what we've been doing this week. On the Workbench, for me, is these. We're building a harbor on our layout, and that's a big part of our layout. The one end, on that end, we have, we have some of the modeling watered down. The first couple layers that we're doing with Mod Podge, and with that, we have details, different buildings, water structures that are in the water. I have some bar mill products or structures that are down there that Brett and I both built some of each of those. And then we have some FOS scale model water structures that are on, on pilings in the water, and a pier that goes out over a large pier. And that has a piece of track work that goes out so you can take the train out over the harbor itself. Our layout is called Blackwater Cove, and it's based on the Maryland theme. And what I've been trying to do is I bought these channel markers, the channel marker buoys, and they're made by Sylvan, and Sylvan makes the car kits that you can build the automobiles, vehicle structure, the vehicle kits that are available. They also make vehicle structures. How about that? That was a mess up, but okay, we'll roll with that one anyways. Don't edit that
vehicle
out.
Structures.
But these are pretty neat. They're nice little channel markers that would float in the water, and I had a lot of fun building them. They're very intricate. They have I have two of them on my workbench right now. They're red, and one's red, one's black. That's very important actually, because they tell you where the boats come in to port from out to sea and from out of port to sea. They have channels that they would come in and out of.
And tell them about how you painted one of them green and why it shouldn't have been green.
Well, I'm going to get to that here. We have the one was green. I painted it like this pale, ugly green. So if you go online and research, which you should do anyways, I went online. I looked up photos on Google, image search, and I do that for a lot of stuff. It's a good way to get a visual on the colors that you want to match. So I was like, what color would be the other one other than red? And I went with this green color that I saw on every one of them. And I was like, this is awesome. This is it's like a puke green color. It was nice, it wasn't really nice, but and so I did this, and then I got a message on my Facebook from a friend of mine because I posted a photo up of it, and he was in the Navy, retired from the Navy now, and he had been one of those people that was in charge of or was sent out somewhere during his duty to go out and clean and I guess maintenance work on these channel markers. And he contacted me and said, that is beautiful work, but
what a
they
job.
weren't green. He said they weren't green until 1988. In 1940, which we're trying in that 1940 era, he said they were black. So I had to totally clean off the old paint. Thank God I was using, acrylics, and I was able to wash it off and scrub it with a very soft brush and got the green paint off of the model because it's just styrene plastic is what they make it out of. And it's, like I said, the details on it are really nice. It has, the bottom part, the float, has a nice mold to it. That part is by Sylvan Model Works, and it is HO-1065 is the name, is the actual, if you were going to order it, that's the part. You could probably go online and look that up too. It's HO-1065 channel marker buoy, and it has really nice little fine details to it. It's very well done. It doesn't come with the numbers to put on it. So I had to put my own numbers on, which is fine. You get some decal numbers and stick them on there. But that was, I guess it's, some of them have numbers, some of them didn't have numbers. Most of the ones I saw on the photos did. Now this kit, well, like I said, I scrubbed it down and I repainted it black. It turned out really nice anyways. The red one's awesome. But then on the bottom of them, I noticed that they had a lot of, all of them had like a lot of rust and muck on the bottom, green slime and muck and that kind of thing. So I used some of my acrylic paints, started it off with different layers and put it up about halfway around the bottom of the float, and in a perfect line all the way around almost. And it looks just awesome. The rust on it turned out really nice. And we did that with several products. I used the acrylics in a burnt umber, and then I went with a raw sienna and a burnt sienna and mixed that in as a rust color over. Just kind of left them show, by washes. They were kind of washes, one wash over another, and I built it up in layers. And then I went with some of this. You could use several different products, but the first one I did in red. And to put barnacles on or to show the rust corrosion, I used some white diluted white glue, put on very thin over the area I wanted to have it, and then sprinkled salt from a salt shaker on it and let it dry. And once it dried, then I took some rust colors from the AK products I'm going to talk to you a little bit later on, and I kind of touched them up with the different rust colors or rust deposits, and it brought them out. It brought those salt crystals out. Some of them fell off, and that's fine. It kind of overdid it at first. You brush off what you need. It turned out really nice. The second one, the black one, I thought I'd try a different technique, and I used the AK interactive product called Corrosion Texture. And I've tried it before with some success and failure, and I'll talk to you about that at some point as well later on. But the corrosion texture on the bottom kind of the same effect. You can also, pardon me on the coughing there. Yeah, you can also get that product as well from art supply stores.
Easy there.
They have an art supply product. You can get it at Michael's or AC Moore, and that is, let me find it up here. Son of a gun.
Obviously, if you're going to Michael's or AC Moore, you should not go with your 50% off coupon.
Oh, yeah, we got to talk about that.
Or else you're a complete buffoon. Like, you can't.
Oh, no.
You can't do it.
No, without doubt.
If you ever spent full price on an item at Michael's, you're foolish.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I never walk out of Michael's without paying. Not Michael's. AC Moore, I usually walk out with 50% or better on one product. So you take your most expensive product, you're walking out of that store and you paid half price for it. And I don't care what it is, down to light fixtures on my workbench here. I bought these OT lights and they're really expensive, and I have 3 of them on my desk. I have never worked with I never paid full price for any of them. I paid 50% or more off. Okay, the other product is made by Liquitex, and it is a ceramic stucco, it's called, and it's applied the same way. It's also water-based, and that works in the same manner that the corrosion texture does. And well, I'm going to do a feature on them at some point on all 3 different kinds of products and how they can work together. There's probably several other ways you can do it, but it gives it a granular texture on the outside, and then you can color that texture, and it works out really nice. But anyways, I did that with these channel markers. That's what I'm working on now. I'm about wrapped up, except I have some seagulls that I got from the show, that I bought from BEST Best Castings, and they have a pack of seagulls. I bought a bunch of packs, and they have they're very hard to find too, by the way. Not many people make seagulls. I'm going to put them on top of the channel markers, put some bird droppings on, and I should be about done. I'm literally going to put bird droppings on this channel marker. And but that's what I'm working on now. As far as upcoming things, oh man, I think my next project is going to be, I'm painting some anchors and bollards for the harbor, and then I also have a boat from Model Works that I bought. It's a sardine carrier, fishing type vessel that I bought from Seaport Model Works, and like I said, they're good people there. They have some amazing models, and I'm really looking forward to digging into that, because I want to try and get some of these models done for the harbor so we can wrap up a lot of the detail part on that and get it done, and we can move on to our city. Brett, what do you got going on?
Right now, I've been working on actually a couple things to sell, believe it or not. I have been working on the harbor, applying a bunch of layers of Mod Podge, which takes, an asininely long time. It seems like you're just painting the same thing over and over again, but we're building up layers and layers of Mod Podge, and I'm pretty sure that it's slowly, I'm growing a brain tumor because it's just me doing the same thing over and over again. But it's starting to look good. The water's starting to look good in the harbor for Blackwater Cove. Excuse me. I'm also recovering from a 6-month sinus infection, so if you hear me coughing and sniffling, it's because I've been since January last year. I've been coughing up phlegm, so excuse me on that. And so there's the harbor. We've been focusing a lot of time on the harbor. I've also been trying to get a bunch of scratch-built stuff done, which includes, like I had said just a minute ago, a DPM building that it's not really scratch-built, but I kind of hacked it and changed it up a little bit. So it's a customized DPM building with some extra things added on that you don't normally see on, the plastic kits that look pretty much the same over and over again. So the idea is we're trying to not only do our layout and focus on some products for you guys, but occasionally we might pump out a couple, customized kits that we might throw up on our website for sale. This is going to be one of them. And I'm also working on another completely scratch-built kit that I used basically all just clapboard siding for, and a little bit of board and batten. It's called, I named it Olga's Fine Grocery, and it's just a monstrous scratch-built crazy building. It's got all these different roof lines and gables and stuff on it, and the building itself is done. It's not weathered. I'm putting the roof on. I've put the roof on now 6 times. So, if you've ever built a scratch-built building, you might know my struggle. I've made the roof completely overcomplicated, and every time I put the roof on,
It's a beast of a roof, man.
I'm just not happy with it every time I do it. So I'm on like iteration number 6 of roofs, and eventually I'll get there. I'll be happy with it, and who knows? Maybe I'll become so attached to it that I won't want to sell it. But the idea is to sell these 2 kits. So I have been focusing on the harbor part of our layout a lot, but I've also been trying to, make a couple kits to sell. That way we can come up with a little bit more scratch to continue buying stuff for our layout. But other than that, I've been kind of just working on those 2 things in the harbor. And I have a couple other kits in the runnings. I have a kit that I got at the Fine Scale Modelers Expo this past weekend, and I got it from the Seaport Model Works, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later when we talk about the Expo. But it's a set of 2 barges, small barges, that will go in the harbor, which is like our main focus of the layout right now. But it's a pretty cool little kit, 2 kits, and they can be pretty customized. So I'm excited to see how they turn out. But other than that, my time's been focused on this little scratch-built kit that I'm trying to sell, the Olga's Fine Grocery. So that'll be up on our site a little bit later on hoscalecustoms.com when I'm happy with it. But for the time being, that's been eating up most of my working hours. So, yeah, I mean, we can just start talking about the Expo now, because both of us had talked about things that we liked at the Expo and not at the Expo. So
that's great. We keyed right into that, didn't we? Wow.
Yeah. So if you don't know what that was a transition. So we're really good at this here.
Wow.
That was our transition.
That was great, because I have no clue about podcasts. It's all brand new. We segued perfectly. I'm telling you what, the Expo, the Fine Scale Model Railroad Expo 2017 was held in Altoona this year. I saw it. It's the first time I've ever been there. It's for us, literally, for me, it's 2 hours and 3 minutes from my house. So, because I live in central Pennsylvania. And so it was very easy. So how ideal that for my first one, for our first one, it was right there, 2 hours away. And, we made reservations for it and went to it in January. January 1, to be honest. I registered for it at that point, so I look forward to it all year. To me, it was like
I didn't. I procrastinated pretty bad.
You did. But you got there and you got to see it, and it was just a really, really cool thing for me. I've been to train shows in the past. No, I'm not going to sit here and knock train shows, but I might. You know what? I'm lying. I'm going to probably knock a train show, but I went to. And by the way, I've coughed a little bit.
Just do it. We're there. You're already at that.
Yeah, I committed.
Now everyone's intrigued.
I've committed. But by the way, if I cough, it's not because of a head cold or a sinus infection for 6 months. If I'm coughing, it's because I'm drinking this crappy Coors Light that's all that's left in my refrigerator right now. And I guess tomorrow I've got to go out and get something better. But anyways, went to the Expo, and I'm telling you, like I said, I've been to train shows. Went to Greenberg's great train show, and hey, look, if Lionel trains are your thing, and you're all about talking about model XG43 boxcar didn't come in green, you only painted them things in brown, and it's serial number 2496, and it had handlebars on the on the brake lever. I don't know these things. So
they only made 16 models of the
Yeah.
B4289.
Right. And that's great.
Not,
you know, and I'm not knocking that niche. For me, that's just not it. I'm not that trainee guy. I love my trains. For our layout, we love our trains, but to go and they're functional, fully functional. And
they run good.
They run good. They run smooth. They do what they have to do. If we want to put a long train on, we can do that. We can put a lot of cars on. We can put a few cars on. We really don't focus on that. The cars and trains will work just fine. But for us, it's what draws attention to the layout. For us, would be the details and such. That's why we're doing a podcast. So, anyways, we made arrangements to go to this, and like I said, I'm not trying to knock Greenberg's Great Train Show, or in any way.
It's not our thing. It's just not.
It's not our.
It's just not our cup of tea. We're right. We're more into the art of it.
I'm amazed.
The running of the trains.
Right. I'm absolutely amazed and impressed with the knowledge that some of those people have when you go to one of those shows. But there's nothing there for me. I can't go to that show and say, oh, you know what? I'd really like to get this kind of detail part. Or I really want to get a nice kit that has, that's a Craftsman quality kit. There may be like 2 people at that whole show that'll have, Craftsman kits for sale, and they're not really a dealer or a vendor like the manufacturer, not your manufacturer vendors. At this show, your top manufacturers are here. I mean, at this expo, you have them, all your major players that make structures or details.
And you got to talk to the people, right. Not just a guy reselling it. You got to talk to
exactly
the guy that's designing the kits and why they do it that way, and why they want to make sure people know everything about their kits. Because
right.
the difference is, I found that the people in the community at the fine scale expos were all about helping you and trying to make you learn, kind of like what we're going to end up trying to do with our blog and our podcast, because no one does any better when you don't try to share everything. So that everyone at the fine scale model or expo was like super with trying to just share everything they knew.
Oh man, it was. You know what I found amazing is they took a couple of the vendors that I talked to, and I'm talking about the vendors that they're the manufacturer vendors, and they're not dealers like you said. Some of these other shows, you're dealing with a dealer that just buys everybody's stuff and then resells it. These guys, like you said, they're trying to help you. But not only were they doing that, I talked to a couple that said, okay, hey, this is my kit, but you know what would look really great with it? That guy's kit. You put this with that. This product that he has over there would go great with my kit. Okay. This kit's great, but this guy over there has something you could add on to it and make it better. And that's amazing what they did. They were able to help you with if you had tips or tricks or ideas that you had questions on that they did, and maybe one of their, all of them had, how about it? They all had like display models of, they're perfectly done. The same exact ones, by the way, that you see on their website. They had them there for you to view, and you could see the quality of craftsmanship that they put together with it. And if you wanted to know how they did it, all I had to do was ask, say, hey, how did you get that to look like that? Boom, boom, boom. They tell you exactly the steps that they went through to do it.
The tutorial, the little mini tutorial that we got from the bar, I forget which guy from Bar Mills it was, but about the roofing, and how he painted his metal roofs. That blew my mind. It was he spent a half an hour telling us how he painted his metal roofs with kills from the hardware store and aluminum foil tape. It was just things you see that you would never think of, and they've been doing that now for 30, 40 years, and they want you to know that. They want you to know how they make it look like it does in the picture, because if you know how to do that, it helps them and it helps everyone else. So it was just amazing. I was blown away with the amount of detail that some of those guys went into.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and the amount of selflessness they had when they were talking about other manufacturers. They would gladly refer to you. Bar Mills was gladly able to talk about the next vendor and the next vendor, and Doug Foscale and the Seaport Model Works and those guys. They all talked about each other greatly, because they all know that that's how they survive, is helping each other out.
Okay,
so it was an awesome time.
Hold up on Doug Foscale. I've been calling him that too, and I found out
Oh,
I got a video
did I
with
say
that.
his name wrong?
Well, I've been saying it like that for a year. Okay, so but it's not. I got this video for FOS scale models, and it actually came in my bag of goodies when I first came to the show, and they had a video on there, one of his videos or their company's videos.
How should we be pronouncing it? It's
Foscali. It's Foscali, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I've been saying it wrong.
Doug, we're sorry.
What's really bad is I actually said it to him when I was there.
Doug, we're sorry.
He probably hears that all the time. Anyhow, he pronounced it. Right. He pronounced it that in the video that he gave on the tutorial video I got in my goodie bag. I
think we just all assumed scale because of the hobby and everything's scale. Well, so and it works, Doug, we apologize.
It actually works perfect for his business. Anyhow, but yeah, they were all there to help, and the vendors were just so some amazing stuff that I saw there. The clinics, I took clinics on. I spent most of my day on Friday doing clinics. Say on Thursday they had. I didn't go Thursday. But Thursday, Brett, they had clinics on, they were called platinum clinics. And those clinics, you paid like $60 extra per clinic if you wanted to take like one particular clinic. Or you could buy some kind of special pass. It gave you everything in the show for one big price. I mean, it sounds expensive. Can't remember, it was a couple $100 to get this. To get the whole package, the best package deal, but you get these hands-on clinics. These here, you're actually building on Thursday. They were actually building a kit. They would get the kit with their clinic, and they would work on the kit and start working on it together, and they would get it started. I guess they take it home and they could finish it up. I didn't take any of this. I wasn't there on Thursday, but Friday I got there, and I took the clinics. That were available, the standard clinics. On Friday, I did one for building resin vehicles by a guy named Dan Raymond, and he talked about building the actual, the kits like the Jordans and the Sylvans and stuff like that. And he tells you how to paint them and detail them and model them. And he was amazing. He was just all kinds of great ideas on how he did it, and he had actually a slide presentation there. I bet there were probably, I'm guessing 75 people, 80 people in the room. And it was the first clinic in the morning, 8:00 in the morning. It was impressive. And from wherever you sat in the room, you could see anything. He passed around, different parts and things that he would use, different types of product that he used to paint with. The guy did a good job on it. His resin vehicles are awesome. I mean, the standard resin vehicles that are all one piece, he really focused on those. He did a couple REA freight type trucks, 3 different types of freight trucks. And he really, they looked awesome. And then the next guy was, that I went to see was, so where Friday's clinics was, on rust techniques, which is one of my favorite things and one of your favorite things, Brett. You really love doing rust and you're good at it. You're Bob Mitchell, and big tall guy, not like overly big, he's just a real tall guy, no hair. He was amazing. He's a well-spoken character with a great vocabulary. You could just tell this guy's not only a good speaker and teacher on his modeling details and such, but he's educated. You could just tell he's a very well-spoken person. And as he passed around endless amounts of his work, finished work or small pieces that would explain his work. And what's amazing with his rust details was it's in Z scale, Brett. And like I said, it was just completely awesome. The detail that he had with a Z-scale model. And, because it's so tiny. And I looked at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it had a whole house structure sat square in the middle of my palm. And it was the size of, I don't know, a matchbox. I mean, it was just so tiny in Z scale. And this guy, now everything he taught you could be Molly scale. And he did weathering techniques with rust that were made from toothpaste, all kinds of different things. This guy used all kinds of different products, different mediums that he used to get his results. And that was a good one. And then later, of course, I did the scenery technique with Joey Ricard, who does he's just awesome. He does a lot of O scale stuff, and he has the company Trackside Scenery, and his stuff his scenery is just unheard of. I mean, and he does it from natural products that he can find around your house or outside, and his.
So it's all affordable. It's all easily obtained.
Oh, you can tell this guy's all about that. He's trying to make he models like the foothills of West Virginia, but it could apply anywhere. And he's done other modeling of, desert stuff and things like that. But that's his, you could tell that's his key feature thing. He likes the trees and stuff, the woods and the mountains of the mountain scenery. But it's
all done with things that you can get around the house. It's not like you have to go out and buy. You don't have to buy hundreds of dollars worth of materials. No,
and I noticed that about most of these guys, Brett. And we need to look at that on our own layout. Is instead of buying like already made product that's for dirt, use real dirt.
Just use dirt.
Yeah, because that's what every one of these guys who I was talking to said. They use dirt. They use real dirt.
What looks more like dirt than dirt.
That's right. Just like when you're building a wood structure, you want to use wood. You don't want to use plastic to make it look like wood. You use wood, and. But this guy uses all natural products, and he comes up with countless ways to make it, like you said, affordable. But not only that, easy things that are around your house that you can use to build with, and and obviously, like anybody else, he has to use products and stuff that are made for modelers. But that's not his focus, and he was good. He was really good. He's another good speaker. All these guys were good speakers. There wasn't a bad clinic that I went to. And while I'm doing one clinic in another conference room, they have a whole another set of clinics going on. And so they were running two. You had your choice. So you're not going to get to catch all of them. But then after Joey's scenery one, I did weathering with the right materials with Doug Foscali, and he had talked about a lot of the AK products that I've been using lately, and for those of you who don't know, AK Interactive makes these products, and I'm going to get into that in a couple minutes here, but they're generally originally designed for military modeling, and they've come up with all these different ways to recreate things like dust and water and mud and dirt and onto your models in thin layers to make it look like it's an actual photo. I mean, these types of things, rusts and moss and decay and all kinds of stuff. So they're good at this, and this is he talked about using these and how he uses them in weathering. His structures and details. It's not just structures, but his actual smaller details and scenery. And like I said, it was of course from one of the top guys in the business. He knows what he's doing, and he's very good at explaining it, like all of these guys are at this show. They were awesome. After that, I kind of went and saw the. That's before you came up, by the way. You came up the next day on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday morning.
I took my wife, your mom, and we went and saw the Horseshoe Curve, and it was a curve. It was a curved track, and that's what it
some
was.
Trains and
went around in a circle. And you know what? It's an engineering marvel. I'm not going to deny that. It was an engineering marvel. I got out. It was misty and misty rain and just drizzle and cold. It was just damp and horrible. And
well, the video you posted was you caught the end of the train.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to when we got out, there was a train coming, and I was like, oh, shoot, I'm gonna film this. So I never remember my camera when anything I do. Anywhere I go, I always forget, I could have videoed
I was surprised you posted a video on Facebook ever.
Have you ever seen me do that before? No.
That was the first. Not even my grandchildren, not even your grandchildren. You don't have any videos. And that was the first video ever.
I always forget because I'm always having so much fun with my grandkids. and then I'm like, why should I share that with anybody else? I'm enjoying this. I'm going to take time out and stand there and look at my grandkids play when I could be playing with them. Okay, but anyways, beyond that, I'm like, the first time in my life I probably ever pulled my camera out and go, I can film this. So I'm filming.
I'm surprised you even got your video open in time.
Oh, man, I filmed the whole train as it went around, and I got it from one side, and then you could see all the way around the curve to the other side, the end of the train, and it was cool. That was kind of cool. And it is a really, like I said, an engineering marvel to how they built that horseshoe curve in those mountains inside, in and around the many mountains that are there so they could fit it in. Like it was like dropped in. It was awesome. And how they did it was another miracle. What would you call that? Not a miracle, but
a marvel.
Yeah, an engineering marvel. I got it right the first time. So we were going to go up the thing, and they wanted $8 a person to go up 100 foot up to the track. And you could either take this little incline up to the top, or you could walk up a whole mess of stairs in the drizzle, in the rain. And I was like, I ain't paying $16 to walk up 100 foot up to stand at the track level and look at the same damn train that I'm watching go around the track. So I was happy enough that I was able to catch a train there. I said, okay, Lisa, let's jump in the car. Let's get the heck out of here. And let's go get some dinner. So, of course, we went.
Go get some Permini Brothers.
Oh, man, Permini Brothers. And it was amazing. Permini Brothers was good food. By the way, at the show, they had food that they served at the convention at the Altoona Convention Center there. And the food was done by catering service. It was awesome. It was great priced. All their food had, the top price stuff was like $6-7, and it was a good meal. That's what we did at lunchtime. And they didn't overprice you at the show. In fact, what I found amazing was, and one thing that was overpriced was a hot dog for $4.50, and everything else you could get the hot dog for $4.50, or you could pay $5 and get a pork barbecue sandwich with the trimmings.
It's a real hard choice there.
Yeah, so for 50 cents more. But anyhow, I love that first part of the day. To me, it felt like I was at Disneyland. It was like being at Disney for an adult, because here I am, and I'm with all of the best at this show. And on Saturday you came up. We stayed there at the hotel. The hotel was connected to the convention center, so I didn't even have to go outside. That was awesome. Some of the vendors that were there, by the way, I'll just kind of roll through a list real quick. You had Bar Mills, you had Carolina Craftsman, Nick and Nora Designs. All three of those are great structure companies that make great craftsman kits. We talked at length, Brett and I talked at length with Casey's workshop, and talked to those people at Casey's. We're going to try and get some of these people that we talked to last week. We're going to try and get them on our podcast. Many of them agreed to doing an interview, and we're gonna definitely fit them in, and we'll get in contact with them. We need to get our feet wet. This is all brand new to us, and so far we're sucking it up.
It took us a good hour to just even get our microphones in sync. So
oh my God, yes, heck, it took me 15 minutes of retakes just to do the opening.
It was a circus.
Then, of course, we talked to Doug from FOS scale models. I bought from him the Metzger building that I've been looking at for like a year, and I'm looking forward to building that here soon. And
it's up on your giant stack of stuff to do.
It is. It's on my giant stack of stuff to do, and but that one there is something I want to get to soon, and it is a cool looking building. And it was that was my big purchase, of course. I bought a lot of little small scale stuff or small detail part stuff. But I talked to Doug, and his displays there, all the stuff you see on his website, he has the actual display of that model with the same vehicles on it you see on the photos, and he had them out there on full display. It was like a whole different showroom of its own besides the contest showroom, which, by the way, was just insane. And Brett, you saw his model displays, and you stand there staring at them.
It was like you were on his website looking at the same things you just bought. Like,
yeah,
you just have to stand there at all at some of the models that he had.
Oh yeah,
and some of the limited run kits and stuff that he had already built out that you see online.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you see him in the pictures and you see him on his Instagram page and you see him on Facebook, but then when you're standing there in person, you could spend an hour just looking at a tiny little corner of some of those big ones that he has built out because of the detail that goes into them.
Oh, it's like being in a museum.
It was just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Farm Mills had the same kind of thing. They had theirs out as well. And, it was just, I was sitting at Seaport. See, that guy, by the way, let's go to him. That Seaport Model Works guy, that Bruce Nickerson, man.
He's awesome. He'll talk to you about anything you want to know about any of his models.
Oh, yeah.
The great thing I thought about his whole setup and his whole deal is we had a couple questions about a couple boats that he had on display and things for sale. And he had every single thing you could ever want to know about that boat.
Yeah.
Like he knows everything. He knows everything about that model down to the tiniest detail because they build those off of original photos. And he was telling us, what was the one boat he had? It was a police boat or something.
Yeah. I can't even remember. A Coast Guard type boat.
We're not going to do it justice because
yeah, I'm not
a boat dude.
And we talked about so much I can't remember it.
I'm not exactly. And I'm not a boat fanatic, so I apologize. I don't know the technical term, but it was a big long boat that was painted like a police boat, and he had the original photos that he had received from someone he knew, from an acquaintance of his.
Yeah.
And when you look at the picture and you look at the model, it was amazing the amount of detail that went into the models that he does. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, in everything he had, he was telling us that everything he does is based off of actual photos and actual measurements because he's not only selling to the model railroading community, he's selling to the model boat community and people who are just into boats, not necessarily just model railroading. So he's kind of serving two niche markets there. And I think the model boat community is probably a little more picky. So he was telling us that he needs to walk a finer line when it comes to adding detail to or making these kits.
Yeah. It's like if you made an engine, and if you had a train engine, and you're not going to just put a train engine out there to train people, and they're going to chew you to pieces and spit you out because you got something wrong on it. He's facing the same thing. He's
and from two sides because it's not just trains. He's also dealing with a boat model hobbyist.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people he was telling us, a lot of the people that buy his models are also people that build and assemble or just collect models of boats. So it was he was awesome though. He had a little harbor layout that he made and it was explaining to us and kind of gave us some ideas for our harbor with the Mod Podge. He was telling us about how I think you told him about how I was having some issues with bubbles that were arising in our Mod Podge when it dried. And he was basically telling us, like, don't worry about them, because when you go over it with your highlights and your different colored paints, and then you hit it with a fan brush, like, you're never gonna see all those little bubbles. So don't get stuck on those bubbles. But he was full of tips like that, where it wasn't just him trying to tell us about his boats. It was all about, he was basically giving us all his information and his knowledge on how to build a good water scene. Yeah. So he was awesome. And even when we were there, I got hooked on a kit that I purchased from him eventually. It was a oyster skiff and mini barge, HO scale kit number CR7 from him. And it was 2 barges that really you could turn into whatever you want, but they're the one is an oyster skiff and the other one's a miniature barge that are kind of a blank slate. So and you bought a kit from him. What was the kit you got from him again?
I got the sardine carrier oyster boat, oyster by boat. Oyster by boat. That is model number. I have it up here on the shelf. Give me a second. Oh, of course, these damn earbuds. I can't reach it. Hold on.
They're going to rip right out of your ears.
I know they did. Hold on.
Oh, my God.
The earbuds. Okay, I put the earbuds back in. It is item number H115, and that is a sardine carrier oyster by boat.
Was the other boat we got?
It's a 63 scale foot length. Okay, so that'll be a good size boat. Yeah,
that'll take up a pretty good section of our harbor. But he was awesome. I mean, he wasn't just concerned about getting kits in our hands. He also wanted to make sure hey, when you're done, send me pictures of them and send me.
Right.
He wants to see how all of his kits turn out. He's very interested in making sure people enjoy his kits.
I heard the same thing from other vendors as well, saying the same thing about sending your finished product. Show them the photos. These guys want to see what you can do with their product. They love that.
They love seeing, and it seems like they love seeing how they put out a kit that's, for instance, the Seaport Model Works guy, Bruce.
Yeah,
we bought 2 kits from him, and I bought the oyster skiff. So Bruce seemed excited at the fact that I don't necessarily want to build what's pictured. And a lot of those guys seem excited about, they don't want to see you build. I mean, they want to see you build their kits, but they don't want to see you necessarily always build the kit that's pictured and the name of the building that they made and
same paint scheme.
Yeah. They don't want to I feel like, and just from our Instagram page and things we posted on our site, it seems like the manufacturers of these kits get excited when you also take what they built and you turn it into your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't copy it exactly, and you make it into your own unique building.
Right.
Off of their kit, but it's something completely different. And you just, from talking to a lot of those vendors this weekend, you notice that they eat that up just as much as people enjoying their kits.
Yeah, they want to see that you're innovative and that you're willing to, you want to step outside that box and try and do something unique with it. And it
also makes me wonder sometimes when they don't put things in kits. Some of these manufacturers, good and bad, all manufacturers. I think we bought enough kits to have some experiences with all of them where they leave something out of the instructions or they leave a thing out, and it kind of forces you to innovate. And I don't know if it's done intentionally. It'd be interesting to talk to some of these vendors to see if it is intentional, but it does force you to be innovative, and it ends up making a better kit, I think, when you're done with it.
Well, let's move on.
Switch into
let's go to the toolbox. Well, let's talk about a tool you like to use, Brett. What a tool on your tool bench that really is a big help for you, and why?
Well, I'm holding it right now.
What's that?
And I've been playing with it and fiddling around with it. And you probably can't. Well, right now we're on a video conference too, so people listening to the podcast don't realize we can see each other. We're not sitting in the same room, and hopefully it doesn't look like I've been doing something obscene with it. But I've been playing around with this awl. I've been using an awl a lot lately, and I think you have a tool that replaces the function of the awl. But with a lot of my scratch-built buildings, especially with board and batten and clapboard siding, you need to put nail holes in the wall, or else it looks pretty stupid and pretty lame without nail holes. So you have a tool. What's it called?
Yeah. It's made by
the nail tool.
Yeah, it puts little nail holes in.
The nail hole tool.
Nail hole tool. I can't. They have a special name for the damn thing.
We're just gonna call it the nail hole.
Yeah.
So the nail hole tool,
I might come up with the idea, the name of it, but
the spinny nail hole tool, formerly known as something else. I don't have that, so I use an awl from my basement, and I give myself carpal tunnel every time I do a kit, because I sit there and I individually punch every single nail hole in the wall, nail hole by nail hole, individually, rather than just running this tool up the side of the wall a couple times. But I think it ends up giving me a nicer looking row of nail holes than the tool, because the ability of me to give a deeper puncture into the wood than the nail hole tool, whatever the hell it's called, then that would give. So when the wood's unpainted and unweathered, I can punch a deeper hole in. So when I do paint it and I weather it, the hole doesn't get filled in with paint. And when I put a washer over it and I put some dust or weathering agents over it, it looks more defined.
Yeah.
So that's my tool that I've been using a lot this week, and my hand is in a permanent cramped position because I've been punching 6,000 nail holes all week. So what about you?
Well, I was trying to look up what the nail hole tool was while you were on the phone, because I tried to find one of them. No, I tried to find one of those things, and it was. When I first started into modeling and I saw somebody using one of them, I said, I got to get one of those, and I knew the name of it. And next time we had the podcast, I'll definitely know the name of it. I have to look it up. Now that I have one, I never look it up. I'll be honest with you, I don't even use the damn thing a whole lot as much as I used to.
Oh, here it is. At least on the Dr. Ben's website, I just got on the Dr. Ben's website. It's called the Fine Scale Nail Hole Tool, Dr. Ben's Scale Consortium.
No, man, that's not it though. That's not what it's called though. On Microscale has it on their Micromark. I mean,
the pounce wheel.
Pounce wheel. That's
it's a pounce wheel.
Okay.
Well, who the hell names it a pounce wheel? What the heck? What's a pounce wheel?
Well, I think it was used in material of some kind. Originally. But here's the thing. I don't like using it because sometimes it puts too many nail holes in to each plank. And so a lot of times lately, I've been using the awl, like you were talking about, or using the, get this, these dentist picks.
Like so when you're done with it, you can clean your teeth.
Yeah, they're little dentist picks. I picked them up at some craft show that had tools. They had small scale tools and stuff, and they had dentist picks. And I love them. They're sharp. You put them in something where you're not going to poke your finger on them every time on your workbench.
You make sure you wear your safety glasses.
But yeah, definitely. Hey, I've had to wear the safety glasses a few times. But I don't use the pounce wheel as much as as I used to. Some things I do, depending on how narrow the clapboard is. Sometimes lately, I haven't been using any nail holes. Just simply because, I wonder how many buildings have to have the nail holes showing and all. I don't know. But, and do you really see them in real life? Would you really see them to this scale? That's like one of those controversial questions. But tool that I use, and I'm going to go very simple today. I'm going to go simpler than I thought I would go with. The thing I use the most is a toothpick. I use a toothpick, and I use a toothpick for glue, for paint, for putting little tiny dots on stuff. Definitely for gluing stuff. I mean, it's just I I've become a toothpick master at applying stuff with a toothpick. And you can.
And the toothpick goes with the Post-it note,
Man,
right?
Oh my God,
So
the Post-it notes. Oh yeah, you put the glue on the Post-it note. You're done with it. If it dries up and it's no good anymore, just rip it off, throw it in the trash. New Post-it note, new glue. Get a toothpick. Go to town. It's a toothpick. And not just painting or gluing. Not so much that I don't use paintbrushes, but sometimes you need to get paint in a tiny little crevice area, and you really, where you want to dot something, and you want to make sure it's a defined dot rather than a brush that if you push too hard on it, you'll spread it out and you'll make that just I like using a toothpick for a lot of different things. You can also use it for scratching paint off in weathering, showing, it's good. It's another product I'll talk about later, but worn effects or heavy chipping, where you're scratching off and you're trying to make chip paint. Toothpicks are great for that. And when you're done with it, it's one less damn thing I don't have to clean. Throw it in the trash can. Boom, done. I get like 250 of them for 61 cents at the grocery store, and they'll last you a couple months. And next time you're at the grocery store, you break down, you spend 61 cents, and you get another box of them. Okay, they're just very versatile. So that was my easy tool this time. I'll come up with one better next time. But let's skip on from tools to. Oh, sorry.
So I was gonna jump into it.
Yeah, go.
So the next thing we were gonna talk about is the all in the details part, all in the details segment, where we will focus on a small detail that we're putting on our layout or putting on one of our kits right now that that might make a big difference, even though it's tiny. And the scope of it might not feel big, but when it's on the kit, it just makes it complete. Or when it's on your layout, it makes it complete.
Right.
And the thing that I'm going to focus on for this week and all in the details is a little wooden Indian I got from Rusty Stumps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to put it out. I didn't paint it yet. It's a little resin Indian, like a hand-carved wooden Indian you'd see outside of a cigar shop. And that's exactly what I'm going to put it out in front of. I have a cigar shop that's from the Bar Mills Potter's Pub kit, which came with 3 buildings in one. It was Potter's Pub, like an antiques shop or some crazy-ass shop, and a cigar shop on the end. And it's 3 buildings in one. And it's a heck of a kit. But the sidewalk scenery is missing from the details of it. So it's another thing like we were talking about earlier where if a manufacturer would throw something like that into it, a little extra other than just a chimney, a cast chimney and a cast light fixture that hangs on the side of the building, I thought that the kit was missing some outside the bar or on the sidewalk features.
Mm-hmm.
So the wooden Indian is my all in the details piece of the week.
Cool.
And I'll put some pictures on our Instagram when I have it painted. Sometime when I find some free time, I'll paint the thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's a cool looking thing. I saw it on their website when you first got it.
It looks like something that would be out front of an old trading post, like it's a wooden Indian. So
it's definitely got uniqueness to it,
Yeah.
It's something I haven't seen modeled a lot either on photos and things. But I am going to talk about the new thing I want to do is manhole covers. So I bought these manhole covers from Crow River Products. They weren't expensive. Some of the manhole covers, there's not many companies that have them. There may be like 4 or 5 companies that I'm aware of that makes a decent manhole cover or makes manhole covers for sale. And they seem a little pricey to me. And I'm going to get on a little bit of a bitch here on this because I want to do nice roads and sidewalks on our city streets. But for these little tiny, they're discs, for God's sake. They're a disc. It's a disc with a pattern put on top. I mean, like, a rigid, like, I don't know what the heck pattern it is that they put on top of it, but yeah, some of them say sewer, some of them say sewer on it, and whatever. They're itty bitty little tiny discs, and they want like $5 and $10 they want like $10, and you get like 5 or 6 freaking manhole covers, or maybe 10. Okay, but if you have a lot of streets that you're running and a lot of sidewalks, you're talking about a lot of manhole covers. There's some nice ones out there. I know that FOS scale models makes 12-pack or 10-pack or something, and it comes with what the hell?
That was me. I bumped myself.
Oh, okay. Well, so they have, and I'm not knocking his because I haven't tried them, but he has sewer grates that come with his, and I thought about, and I may still go get some of this and try them out. But I found these from Crow River Products, $2.50, and I get 6 of them. Well, so I break that down. It's $5 for a dozen. It's half the price of what you're paying for a lot of these other ones, and they're discs. I even tried to think of a million different ways I could make my own damn manhole covers, and I probably could somehow. But I'm like. And I was going to get to that, but we were at the show, and I saw these hanging there, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to buy these. They're six of them for $2.50 a piece. And I really think that manhole covers on streets really bring out a uniqueness to your street, or realism to your street. There are a lot of modelers that I see on videos and things on YouTube or on Facebook groups and things like that, and I see their streets, and we got to do a segment on Facebook groups, of Model Railroad Facebook groups, because there are some real dandies out there.
There's some wackos.
God. Okay, but anyhow.
That'll be another episode.
Yeah, we lost a whole mess of viewers right now, or listeners right now. But
we might have one.
Before we started. But, and there's some amazing ones out there, too. Don't get me wrong. There's some amazing Model Railroad groups out there, but there's some real turds, okay? But anyhow,
you can make a water tower out of an old paper towel tube and a flashlight.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm telling you. But
and no offense, okay, they love it. They're into the model railroading. We shouldn't be that way.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
But there's better options. There's some better options.
Man, we're definitely doing a segment. But anyways, these manhole covers, before I saw all these here, I was like, I'm going to find a way to make my own. And I'm sure I could have. But now here they are. They're a good price. By the way, I saw them from that BEST Castings. They have them as well. They look about the same. They all look about the same. So
it's a manhole cover. It's the size of a...
Right.
How big is it? It's smaller than your pinky nail. How much?
Yeah, it's not even that. It's like I could probably fit 4 of them on my thumbnail. Okay. So and they're flat. They're flat. They're just flat. I could probably make them out of a piece of wood. If I had something to punch a hole. I'm sure Michael Mark has something along that lines. But you know what? I went with them. I'm really looking forward to them. And that's kind of one of my projects here upcoming. So I'm going to paint some manhole covers. And when we start laying down our streets, I'm going to definitely be sinking these manhole covers into the streets. I think it's going to draw some nice attention to our road work. But that's my product there for the week. While we're on products, we're going to each time, and I don't think our following podcasts are going to be quite as long as the damn one we just put together, although I'm having a lot of fun with doing this. I am having a lot of fun. I grew mold on my rear hair from this one. But, yeah. But, the product I'm going to review, we're going to review a product and talk about a featured product that we use, and I'm getting nothing out of promotion for a product other than to help you as a vendor. I mean, as a modeler. And Brett and I will be doing this to help modelers. And I don't really care if somebody benefits from this or doesn't benefit from it. And I could care less if they make a dime off of it. But While I'm on the subject of rust earlier and AK Interactive products, I'm going to feature this week. It's an AK Interactive rust set. And it comes in 4 small jars. The jars have the 3.5 milliliters in them. They're like 2-ounce jars, or a little smaller than 2-ounce jars. And they have they're great products. But what they do is it adds rust, and they are all enamel based. It adds 3 different types of rust tones, and they are called crusted rust deposits in light, medium, and dark. Okay, and then it comes with an enamel wash, light rust wash, and I use them a lot lately for doing rusty metal, that type of thing. I start dark to light, and you put them on with a brush, using a nice brush, and put them on lightly wherever you want to put them. And they're all diffusible, or, you can thin them out with mineral oil, okay, mineral spirits. I use mineral spirits, not mineral oil, mineral spirits. And I just go to, and you can buy mineral spirits from AK Interactive, but you get a little tiny jar, and it costs you $8 for this little tiny jar. And the next thing you know, in a month, you have this cloudy jar of goopy mineral.
It makes your brush dirtier.
Yeah,
they call your brush dirtier than it was when it went in.
This mineral spirits, you can go to Kmart, Walmart, no Kmart no more, but you go to Walmart and you can buy a big jar, a big plastic jug of it, and it'll cost you $6-7 or something like that, and it'll last you. It's the same exact thing, by the way, and you can buy the mineral spirits there for $6-7, and it'll last you a couple years. I ain't kidding you. Anyways, that's the thinner that you would want to use with this, and if you put the rust on too heavy, you can thin it out with the mineral spirits with a brush. You can make them as light or as dark as you want. The idea, though, is these are deposits. They're rust deposits. So you push them with the mineral spirits, you thin them out, and you can push them into the grooves and crevices and things where you want them. And at some point, maybe I'll do a video of some kind and put it up on our website on how to do it. Yeah, they're really, really neat to work with. I go dark, medium, and light in that order. I go with a base with a dark, and then in the center of that base, I'll put the medium, and in the center of the medium, I'll put the light. And you got on the light, you go as light as possible because it's very bright orange. And if you go too much on it, it looks gaudy. Okay. But you want to thin it out with the mineral spirits and spread them around where you want. You can remove it altogether with the mineral spirits if it turns out to be a garbage heap and it doesn't want to look right for you. You can just totally use mineral spirits and remove it. And it doesn't hurt your model. I notice it doesn't have any big after effects on wood or even plastics or metal. I'm not seeing it hurting the product itself. It doesn't take plastic and, some products do, they'll melt the plastics. And I have not found that to be the case yet. The wash is great as a general purpose wash. If you want to take it and put it over top of like some bolts or something that are attached to a sheet metal or some kind of a rusted engine or something sitting there, and you want to just put a wash over it. It'll get rust and it'll wash down into the crevices, and it's a really nice kit. I think it's like a $21 kit altogether, or $20 kit when you buy it online. AK Interactive is a company out of somewhere in Europe, and there's only a couple dealers in the United States that sell it. I know FOS Scale Models sells it. And I know that he has it on his website. I know that you can get it as well from some other places online that'll sell it as well.
If you're local to the PA Maryland area, what's the vendor? What's the guy down in York that has it?
The guy in York, he doesn't have
or
this.
Hanover.
Oh yeah,
Hanover.
he does have it now. Central PA area. Oh yeah, that's
Is it where I got my clapboard siding?
Yes.
And so is it White Rose? White
Rose Hobbies. Yep, White Rose.
Yeah.
And that guy's cool. You know?
If you're in the Maryland and PA area, White Rose Hobbies has a lot of the AK. He can get you a lot of the AK interactive stuff, and he has a new shop down in York now, and I think it's going to be opening soon, or it is open. But he's got a bunch of stuff if you want to call him.
Yeah, White Rose Hobbies, and he's a cool guy. But they have that stuff in sets. They have lots of other products like that, things to put dust on, and like I said, these are made for military modelers. So you want to thin it out a little bit because the military modelers they build in a bigger scale than the HO scale. So you definitely want to drag it out, thin it out a little bit. Otherwise, it might go on a little on the heavy, thick side. You have to play around with it. And like I said, it's a really, really cool product for rusting. It's in my book, it's the top rusting kit out there that I've seen. And there's other products they make for rusting. AK does. I found that you can mix it with the corrosion that I talked about earlier, the corrosion texture, and it's like a paste with corrosion in it, and it's great for like building up rusty, crusty rust. And likewise with that, you got to put in a very, very thin coat, or it looks like garbage. So you have to work with it, but it is a nice product for modelers. I think there's a lot that can be done with the military modeling to what's being done on model rotary. I think they can work together very well with the products that they make for it. And it's not just AK. There's MIG, a company called MIG, and there's Tamara Paints, and there's lots of these military modeler products out there, not just AK Interactive, that you could definitely do that with. So that's it. That's all I got for you on this show. What do you got for us, Brett?
All right. Well, I think we covered a lot. I apologize for length, but we went on a couple tangents which were probably pretty good, and hopefully everyone liked it. But you know what? Next week we will talk about something we hinted about earlier, and we will begin to dig into the the much liked and much hated, at least in our world, instructions on some of these kits that a few of the manufacturers put out that are just killing it. And we'll talk about some of the worst instructions and some of the worst kits we've ever got. So we hope you enjoyed our podcast. We're going to be trying to put one out every week. If you like it, subscribe to it. You can also hit us up on our Facebook page and our Instagram at HO Scale Customs. And we also have our website and blog, hoscalecustoms.com. And in the very near future, we are going to be starting to sell scratch-built and custom-built kits. So we'll have scratch-built structures, and we'll also take some kits from the major manufacturers and build them in a different, unique way and sell them also on our website. So keep an eye out for them, and we'll keep everyone posted on that. So I think that's a wrap for the week, and we will have a custom email address set up. It'll be podcasts@hoscalecustoms.com. So if you want to hit us up on that, you can send us an email. You can give us some suggestions for topics or different things you want us to talk about, or if you have questions, we'll try to. I mean, we're not experts, but we'll give you what we think we would do in that situation if you have questions about kit building or your model railroad. So I think that's it. I think that's a wrap for the day. If not, we'll catch you next week. Hope everyone enjoyed it.